Hey guys, it's Kasera, and today I'm going to be talking about my journey in reading for the last decade. So this morning I woke up and just decided I wanted to do this video. I've been thinking about doing a video like this for a while now, partially because my channel has grown so much over the last just month or so. So many more people have been watching my videos, which by the way, I appreciate all of you guys. You guys are amazing and I love talking to you guys. But I feel like I don't really talk about myself very much on my channel. With the decade just ending, I felt like this was the perfect time to talk about my reading journey. So this is gonna be a really casual video, like no makeup, got my coffee, we're sitting in my favorite reading spot. So just put this on when you just have some time to just chill and hang out with me. Part of the reason I wanted to do this is because I have this sort of persona, I feel like, of the girl who reads a lot. Like I read an average of 21 books a month in 2019, but it hasn't always been that way. There were years that I read very few books. There were years that I mostly just DNF'd books. There were years that I read 0 books in the entire year. So I felt like it would be a fun video just to show kind of my reading journey and what it's been over the last decade. So we're gonna go through all of those highs and all of those lows of my reading, kind of what I went through in the last decade. And a lot of things have happened in the last decade. You know, I graduated high school in 2010. I went to college. I joined a sorority. I graduated from college. I got my first job. I got fired from my first job. I didn't get fired from my first job. That sounds really dramatic. I just transferred to a different building with less hostile upper management. I moved out of my parents' house. I have a mortgage. I bought my own car for the first time. I'm an independent person now, in a way that I wasn't 10 years ago. And I like who I am now. I honestly don't know if 10 years ago I would have looked at who I am today and thought that I was successful and happy, because I am, but I wasn't always that way. Like, I went through a lot of things before I got here. And I feel like my reading and the highs and the lows of my reading kind of show how I was feeling during those years and how my journey has changed so much in the last decade. So I wanted to share that with you guys. So we're gonna start with 2010. So in the beginning of 2010, I was graduating from high school and I was reading Mockingjay. And I was pretty disappointed by Mockingjay. And I finally decided to give up on the Mortal Instruments and not continue on with the further books in the Mortal Instruments series. Then I went to college and someone handed me a Game of Thrones and I DNF'd a Game of Thrones. And of course, when you're in college, you meet a lot of new people. You talk about their likes and their dislikes. And I was introduced to Buffy the Vampire Slayer, which led me to the Vampire Diaries, which led me to True Blood, which led me to the Sookie Stackhouse novels, which were okay. They weren't great, but I enjoyed them. Everyone else is reading them, so I should read them too, right? So 2011 rolls around and Inheritance comes out. So I read Inheritance. And I'm pretty disappointed by Inheritance. The Inheritance cycle was one of the defining series that I read in high school. And Inheritance it didn't do it for me. So I decide maybe YA is not for me anymore. Maybe I'm growing out of it. Let me try some adult books. So I pick up The Eye of the World. This is pretty good. I like The Eye of the World. So I read The Great Hunt and The Dragon Reborn, The Shadow Rising. Oh my gosh, this series is really good. Fires of Heaven, Lord of Chaos, A Crown of Swords, Path of Dagger, Winter's Heart, Crossroads of Twilight, Knife of Dream, Gathering Storm, Towers of Midnight. Is that how it ends? No, that can't be how it ends. No, okay, the last book's not out yet, but I need to find something else to read now. Robert Jordan doesn't have anything else out, does he? Not anything really popular. What about this other guy? This Brandon Sanderson guy. He did a pretty good job with this series. He might have some other stuff out. Let me check out his stuff. So I get to Mistborn. Holy crap, game changer. The Well of Ascension, Hero of Ages. Oh my gosh, I think I just found my new favorite series. I need to read more by this Brandon Sanderson guy. So we have The Emperor's Soul. Wow, The Emperor's Soul is really good. Elantris. Elantris is really good. You call this a debut novel? This is great. The Alloy of Law. DNF, The Alloy of Law. Okay, everybody's not perfect. Let me try some new authors. So I pick up the Dragon Riders of Pern series. It's all right. I enjoyed it. Not my favorite, but it was good. What was that other series? The one that girl handed me last year. It's gonna be an HBO show? Let me watch the first episode. After watching the first episode, holy crap, this is amazing. Let me read the books. So I pick up a Game of Thrones. Absolutely loved a Game of Thrones. I pick up a Clash of Kings. Absolutely loved a Clash of Kings. So I pick up a Storm of Swords, and I'm loving a storm. What just happened? How? What? Throw the book across the room and boycott reading for the next 6 months. So 2012 rolls around and I'm not reading. So I was like, you know what? I'm gonna finish it. So I watched the first season of Game of Thrones. This was pretty good. Watched the second season. This is pretty good. I like the second season. Well, I can't watch the third season. I need to finish the book first. Pick up a Storm of Swords. I finish a Storm of Swords. I pick up a Feast of Crows. I put down a Feast of Crows. I pick a Feast of Crows back up. I put down a Feast of Crows. Picked it back up. Then I put it back down. And finally, I finish a Feast of Crows. I'm in a bit of a slump now. This is not going so well. Pick up a Dance of Dragons. Okay, this is better. I'm liking a Dance of Dragons. I finish a Dance of Dragons. I'm out of the slump. I'm in a groove now. So I pick up Crucial Start by Jacqueline Carey. I hated Crucial Start by Jacqueline Carey. I DNF'd the Crucial series. So I picked up Assassin's Apprentice by Robin Hobb. I hated Assassin's Apprentice by Robin Hobb. I DNF'd the Farseer trilogy. So I picked up The Blade Itself by Joe Abercrombie. I hated The Blade Itself by Joe Abercrombie. So I DNF'd the First Law trilogy. So I picked up The Lies of Locke Lamora. I DNF'd The Lies of Locke Lamora. I picked up Prince of Thorns. I DNF'd the Prince of Thorns. I picked up The Gunslinger. I DNF'd the Gunslinger. I picked up Wizard's First Rule. I DNF'd Wizard's First Rule. I picked up The Sword of Shannara. I DNF'd the Sword of Shannara. So 2013 rolls around. I pick up a Wizard of Earthsea. I DNF'd a Wizard of Earthsea. I picked up Gardens of the Moon. I DNF'd Gardens of the Moon. There's something wrong with me. I cannot finish a book. I don't know what's going on. I cannot finish a single book that I pick up. Maybe I just need to get out of this slump. I like rereading more, right? So let's go back to my favorite. What is my favorite fantasy book? So I pick up the Mistborn trilogy. And I hated the Mistborn trilogy. That's when I got scared. That's when I was like, am I ever gonna like anything ever again? Like, is this gonna happen? Am I not gonna be a reader anymore? At this time, I wanted to be a fantasy author. How can I be a fantasy author if I don't like reading fantasy books? Like, it just doesn't make any sense. I need to get out of this slump. So what's something easy and fun and fast to read that can get me out of this slump? Well, I kind of like that vampire fiction I was reading a little while ago. But the Sookie Stackhouse novels weren't so good. But you know what? I really liked the Twilight series when I was little. So I picked up the Twilight series. And I hated the Twilight series. Okay, it's fine. That's not too much of a surprise, right? So I pick up the Hunger Games trilogy. And I hated the Hunger Games trilogy. I mean, yeah, Mockingjay was a little disappointing, but the first two were good. I remember liking the first two books in the series. Suzanne Collins is a good writer. I loved her books as a child. So I pick up the Underland Chronicles. And I loved the Underland Chronicles. This is why this series has such a nostalgic place in my heart, because it brought me out of that slump. I loved this series in 2013. It's one of the most adorable middle grade fantasy series that I've read in a long time, and it always gets me out of the slump when I need it to. Okay, let's keep this going. I don't want to get into a slump again. Let's get another great middle grade series. So I pick up the Harry Potter series, reread the Harry Potter series, and I loved the Harry Potter series. Oh my gosh. Finally, I'm out of the slump now. I can do this. I can go back to other books. So the last book in the Wheel of Time series came out. Let me try that. I really like that series. So I read A Memory of Light. Okay, this is pretty good. I like this. I mean, I thought the 300-page chapter was a little unnecessary, but this was good. I liked it. Are there other really big popular fantasy series that I should try? Name of the Wind. Okay, let me try this. This is okay. I guess this is good. I could like that. Wise Man's Fear. Not as good as the first one, but not bad. Is this what high fantasy is now, though? When 2014 rolls around, I don't really read anything new in 2014. I do a lot of rereads, especially Underling Chronicles, Harry Potter, things that, I like. Spend a lot of time rereading A Song of Ice and Fire, watching the show, and other shows. 2015 rolls around. I graduate from college. I get a job. I'm really immersed in life and figuring my life out. 2016 rolls around. I'm sucked into my job, working 5-6 days a week, 12 to 14-hour days. I don't have time for reading. Didn't really read anything in 2016. 2017 rolls around. I transfer to a different building. Life is better. I have free time. How do I have free time? Okay, let's read some stuff. Do a few rereads. Read a couple of new books. Really into self-published books. None of them are really that good though. It's all right. Decide to give Durn a Glass a try. Not my favorite. And what's this Audible thing? Audiobooks? Get a free audiobook, okay? So pick up Outlander. Loved Outlander. I don't know if it was because it was an audiobook or because it was Outlander. Loved it. Decided to pick up more audiobooks. Then I find BookTube. Just get introduced to so many potential books that are good. 2018 rolls around. The first book that I read in 2018 is It Ends With Us by Colleen Hoover. New author to me, never read new adult before, and I read this book in one day. Like legit, one day I finished this book. Blows my mind. I didn't know reading could be like this. I didn't know that reading could be this good. Maybe I'm not a fantasy reader at all. Maybe I should just read contemporary books from now on. So I read a ton of her other books. So I decided to start picking up some BookTube recommendations. Pick up A Darker Shade of Magic, and I was very disappointed. This is not half as good as all of those books that I DNF'd a few years ago. Like, why did I even read that? Okay, maybe BookTube doesn't have as good recommendations as I thought. So I started experimenting. What do I like? What do I not like? In 2018, I read 179 books, which is the most I'd ever read in 1 year. So a quick highlight of some of my favorites from 2018. Animal Farm by George Orwell. The Murderbot Diaries by Martha Wells. The Night Circus by Erin Morgenstern. Nevermore by Jessica Townsend. The Poppy War by R.F. Kuang. And this is the one that made me think, man, I do like high fantasy. Like high fantasy, grimdark fantasy, it's really good. Let me read more of that next year. So at the end of 2018, I decided to make reading resolutions for 2019. And one of them is to make a BookTube channel. So in December of 2018, I just decided to kick the bucket, make a BookTube channel, which I finally did. And one of the first books I read was The Black Prism by Brent Weeks. And this book changed the types of books that I read in 2019. I went back to all of those books that I was picking up in 2012 and not liking. I read all of the Lightbringer series and I loved it. I reread Assassin's Apprentice and all of the Farseer trilogy and all of the Realm of the Elderlings in 2019, and I loved them. I reread The Blade itself and the rest of the First Law trilogy, and this was my favorite series that I read in 2019. I finally finished The Lord of the Rings, and I loved it. I finally finished Gardens of the Moon, and I loved it. But it wasn't just the old books that I thought I would never love. I found new stuff as well. I got into sci-fi in 2019. I picked up the Expanse series, and I loved it. I found YA series that I could actually read. I picked up the Arc of Scythe trilogy, and I loved it. I picked up the Folk of the Air trilogy, and I loved it. This is one of the most, cliche YA series that you could possibly imagine, and I loved it. And that brings us to the end of this reading journey, because 2019 was the best reading year that I've ever had. I read over 250 books in 1 year. I found my love for audiobooks. It's okay to listen to audiobooks. It doesn't degrade the story that you're reading or anything like that. It helps you read more and enjoy what you're reading in ways that sometimes when you read the physical book, you may not enjoy it as much. So I love audiobooks and I love reading, which I don't know if I would have said that 10 years ago. I wasn't enjoying what I was reading 10 years ago, especially not 8 years ago. I thought this would be a fun video to do. I don't know how it's gonna turn out, but I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you guys have read any of the books that I mentioned in this video, please let me know in the comments, because all of these books have made such a big impact on my life in the last decade. So let me know what you think of them in the comments down below, because I would love to discuss with you guys. I post videos every Sunday, Wednesday, and Friday at 5 p.m. Eastern time, so consider subscribing. I also post bonus videos like this one. So if you want to be notified as soon as I upload, you could click the little bell icon. If you like this video, please give it a big thumbs up to support my channel. All social media links are in the description down below. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.